Peace, world. This is your brother Mikey Fever, NYP Talk Show, waiting for brother Ron. We have our good friend, our special guest, Dr. Dyer, who's in the building. Oh wow, he just fell out, but he'll be back in. Hope everyone's having a great time. Had to jump in here to get things started. In tonight's episode, we'll be talking about how to control your emotions with Dr. Dyer, who's a behavioral scientist. I have information to drop for us a lot of gyms. Dr. Dyer's coming back in the building. I'm gonna let him in. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, super chat, share with your friends. Dr. Dyer, we got you back, brother. How you doing?
How you doing? You looking fit there, kiddo. You
Oh
know,
man,
you said you
yeah, I'm back,
just
back
you're
in the gym,
working on it.
working on it, man. Back in the gym, back in the gym. I had to shake it off, man. I was like, what is wrong with me? And then as soon as I got the muscles going and the heart beating, the heart racing, just back at it, man.
It
And
felt
plus,
good.
yeah, it felt good. Plus, I fast. I eat
So
like once a
let
day.
so let me ask you a question.
What's up?
And this helps with when we talk about reprogramming and we talk about the brain and activity.
hmm
How long have you stopped being out of
How long have I stopped?
the gym?
I stopped for like a month or two, but I'll still do my push-ups here and there. But I did stop for a
There
while,
you
and
go.
I didn't like the feeling.
So you're always really helping your body form.
Exactly.
You've never, so the gym doesn't mean, if you don't go to the gym, doesn't mean you're not doing what helps build your body
Exactly.
to a certain form you want it to function at, right?
Definitely. Yes.
So this actually leads us into the reason why people either don't do because they don't know how to do. When we talk
That's true.
about reprogramming the brain, people say they don't know how to. They listen to this, they listen to the information, and they're starting to understand there are factors.
hmm
There are the signs of how it breaks down, right? So when we're
Definitely.
talking about working on our emotions, right? And we talk about um, how can we control our emotions, we have to still look at, before we can get into how to, we have to get into the information of why.
hmm
Because I think people, if you don't understand your how, you're still going to be breaking down what you're trying to form.
Got you. So it has to be the intent, the why, the
There has
purpose.
to be the intent of the purpose of your thoughts, not
Exactly.
just if I do this, this works. And I was a bodybuilder for many years. I went to the nationals for a heavyweight in 2000. Good, I'm old too. And
Damn.
once I won my state and won the subcategories around different regions, the Midwest region, and then I got selected to go to the nationals in Vegas with some of the top pros. And
So it was all doing all
bo-
that on stage.
right. So bodybuilding takes intent to focus on what part of the body you are trying to develop.
Exactly.
It's not just if I do this, this develops it. If you don't have strict connection to what you're building, you're not you would like to.
It's not gonna work. It's a discipline. It's a practice. You got to stay on it.
To make
Oh, you're breaking up, doctor. Your connection. I believe we lost connection. I believe we
Oh,
lost
there it
connection.
is.
Yeah,
Am I here?
yeah. Okay, you now. Your connection was a bit
Okay.
choppy.
So it goes back to intent. you have an intent, you focus on an intent, the action, because you're focused on intent, changes the avenue of how your body is going to perform and work for you. Not just work, but work for you how you want it to work. I learned that in bodybuilding, just because there's a science to it, and that's why I really enjoyed it, right? And then when I stepped on personal stage, I was the largest naturalist. I was 222 pounds stepping on stage at 4%.
Wow. Wow.
And I was
What?
still carrying it, right. And here's the thing. And before I got into stage shape, I would carry 270 pounds.
Damn.
Right. So when it comes to the brain, we're going to go into, I have a presentation. So can you bring that in? I'm already sharing it. There you go.
Oh, got it right here. Hey, break that down. What is this graph about?
So when we learn things, we have data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So many people want to get to the wisdom, but they're not understanding the data that they are, what's being given them. Or they don't know the data that they can retrieve from and the information, right? So that's where information becomes important, because information is just information. Knowledge, how you doing, Ron?
What's going on?
Knowledge is the how the information you can apply, right? I'm telling you, if you look too far into wisdom, you're gonna get lost. First,
wait a minute. Hold on. I came on the right time. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Knowledge is what?
Knowledge is your how you are going to use the information. That's it. Knowledge is how you use the information. If you are a basketball fan and you study your opposite players, you study the game, you study the opponents, you're just gathering information. How you apply that is knowledge. I want to stop people there, because if you get into the wisdom and understanding of why, you're going to fall off a cliff. Because so much before that, people don't understand the data, meaning the things coming into you. That's data. Things, when we talk about the brain, it's things coming into you. The information is the who, what, when, and where. It's just information. How's it, where is it coming from? How did I get it? Knowledge is to apply.
The processing. Oh.
Right.
Gotcha.
So now when we get into the stress system, because we're always talking about, we do talk about how am I going to develop my emotions and what I can do with my response. But understand, I'm going to give you information. I always give you information. I always give you data. I will always give you information. How you apply that, when it comes to like Mikey Fever going to the gym, he applies that knowledge in the gym, but it's not just a gym that he can apply it, because he applied it at home to form his body, even though he's not in the gym. Whether it be push-ups, sit-ups, whatever it is, he is still have an intent to form.
Yeah.
To be functional. That's it. I want people, if they can get to data, information, and your knowledge, because once you have the information, now you can develop your knowledge, because it's how you apply the information.
Exactly.
That's it. So I don't want you to go into your wisdom and why, because I'm telling you, it's a cliff dive. You're not ready. It's like going from Pee-wee football to the NFL. You're not going to understand it until you understand your information, your data, and your knowledge.
Well, what we're
here to give you.
I just wanted to make mention of this.
Go ahead, Ron.
just because I think this is important because knowledge and wisdom are the two in the supreme alphabets in the 5% nation. Wisdom, according to the 5% nation, and I bear witness to it myself, is the application of the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there.
Right. But when we talk about reprogramming and thinking, you're still spot on with knowledge and wisdom, but people still don't have the information of why they are having a difficult time to reprogram.
Yeah.
They got affirmation cards out the yin yang, they got sticky notes everywhere, they got things, and all those things doesn't create intent. What those things are, it's just data. The sticky notes, the affirmation, that's just data for you.
It's
That's
just
just
data.
information for you.
It's all based on a process in sequential order. It's an equation. You got to go back into your lab and put it into effect to see the
And
results because you would not know.
you will not know,
Even
right?
if you make an error, you would not know. If you don't
Now,
make it,
mhm.
if you gotta get an outcome either way, whether it's right or wrong. It's still an outcome. It's practicality. So a lot of people don't want to take that chance in life because if they make an error, they look at it as a failure stage. But you can't lose for trying.
But Mikey,
Mhm.
if you don't take a chance in your statement, if you don't take a chance,
Yeah,
you've decided an outcome.
exactly. Exactly.
Actually, you decided only on the outcome, but you have no you have you, you have no control of the outcome. You don't have any intent of the outcome. You're letting the outcome just happen. And you're like, oh, this is the result? I don't like this. How do you not like something when you gave up yourself to not be involved?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, can we go back to that slide? Because I know people with the 5% brain are looking like what? Because you have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding there. So how does this graph go? So I see you have the arrow going from data, information, knowledge to wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you have an arrow going in two different directions, one to the right, one up. So
So you have understanding. So you cannot move your knowledge or your wisdom till you develop the understanding of the information.
And that's when you have your cornerstone, your 90-degree angle right there. Boom,
Correct.
to build on. Got you.
got
Correct.
you. Got you.
Now, what is content? Content is application.
Hmm.
Context.
Yeah, it's just how you apply it, where you apply it, when you apply it. If you don't apply it, then you fall right back into it's just information. You will never develop your knowledging abilities if you don't apply what you learn. I always say if your reasoning cannot answer multiple directions, then it's flawed. For instance, I don't want to get on that boat. Okay, what's your reasoning? I don't know. It looks kind of small. It doesn't look like it's um, dude. We're only going out on Long Island Sound. We're not going out into the deep ocean. So what do you? How are you applying your information of the boat being sound or unsound?
Mhm.
What is the information you have of a sound boat that you would get on between the information you would have to not get on a unsound boat? Can you answer me that? No, I can't answer you that. Then your logic is flawed.
Yeah. Well, so they would say it's intuition. You know what I'm saying? If they can explain it, they'll just,
Well,
throw a monkey wrench and say, it's my intuition.
but
It's how I feel.
you can explain your intuition. It's your
Mhm.
intuition. It's your how you feel about it, right? It's how
Mhm.
you're emotionally attached to your intuition, but it's not
Mhm.
logical,
Exactly. I agree
right?
with you. I agree with you 100%.
And we want to get into logic, sound information, and to apply the knowledge. When we get into the stress systems, you see it has a psychological stressors and you have a physical stressors. And if this was bigger on the left-hand side, if how you look into the screen, your stressors come from psychological, comes from the hippocampus, the pituitary, and the adrenal. That falls back into your amygdala that we talked about last week. That's the stressor. It goes back in to do what it can protect itself to do. Right? So that's why when you go into the body, you see it has an energy issue, you have a metabolic issue, digestive issues. We see how last week how your thinking can affect those things in your body when you're only thinking about securing safety and protection, because you fall back to that oldest part of the brain and you'll get this.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the brain, it also triggers the genetic effect, right? The genome effect, right? And the ultracellular effects that you have with what you are not thinking or how you are thinking. This is why also in the brain, it can affect your immune system, how your body's reacting to your thoughts.
Makes a lot of sense.
So Dr. Paul, so you're saying that you have no stress system? Well, for me personally, I've worked for over 30 years, so I don't have a stress system. Let me say it again. I worked for over 30 years to not have a stress system.
Meaning when things come your way, you know you can absorb what comes your way effortlessly.
And that's how we were even trained in the military. Well, the military I was in, the special operations. There is no stressor. Because if you get stressed because something's being blown back at you, then you don't need to be there.
Exactly.
Because you're there to do something. And if you're like, oh, this is, I gotta get out of here, man, you're in the wrong job. You may say you need to change jobs.
But Dr. Dyer, I'm glad you say that, because that comes with proper training and working on yourself. It's being fine tuned within yourself to know how to process, your environment in the time of calamity, right? But some people would say that
don't
they will
skip
say like
over, Mikey.
desynthesize. Go ahead,
Mikey. But I want you to stop. It takes training.
Yeah.
All what you said after that, if I don't train, I won't get anything you said.
Yeah, got you. You see? I like that. It's true. It's true.
Right. If I'm not training, practicing, developing, cultivating, because that's training. If I'm not training, then anything you said after that, Mikey, sounds good to them, but they don't know how to apply it. So their knowledge is null and void.
That's true. That's true.
Now, I want to say this. I love this right here. Now, I watched a video of men in the military who were like in a foxhole. I think that's what you call it. And they were in the middle of war. It sounded like complete hell, right? Bullets flying everywhere, radios going off, people screaming on the radios. And they were just laying down, I guess, waiting on an opportune time to do what they needed to do. But while they were down there, one guy was shaking. He couldn't stop shaking. He was just so shook up to where he couldn't really do his job. So even with all the training that he had in the military.
Yeah, but there's some people aren't trained at certain levels. Like the team I work with in special operations, we don't have that. I had that when I got pushed to training a unit for firefights when they came over into the desert to the box. And I had a soldier who was a grunt soldier, whatever, and they work on their shooting and everything and the mass thing. We were in a firefight. He put his gun down, put his hands over his head, stuck his head between his knees, and said, "I can't." That's what he did. What I did, I was behind him, and I said, "If you don't pick up that rifle, I'll shoot you myself." So you're afraid of dying. That's what this is. Either way, if you don't pick up the rifle, I'll shoot you. Because if I don't shoot you, then the people we're firing at and who's firing back, they're going to shoot you. So you have two choices. So I don't know what you want to feel like doing right now, but that's your option. He picked up his rifle and he started firing, which is good because it helps save the unit that we're all in, because just one missed sector of fire not being fired hurts us. So if you're going to hurt us, I might as well cut you out, because I know you'll hurt us.
So, Dr. Dyer, what happens if you're desensitized? Well, nothing, like you don't feel anything. Is that beneficial as well, or a detriment?
It to not feel at a particular time is beneficial, but to never feel ever again is not.
Okay.
And if you don't know that spigot to turn it on and off, then you stay on the off and you come back a misguided person in civic society.
Mm-hmm. And then that's why people go to therapy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Got you. Understood.
If you also look over the brain here, you see the cellular, the cellular part, and the sympathetic system, right? You see this and how it can be applied where it comes to function. But here's why. It's called frequencies.
Wait 1 second. Big Gucci Chisi.
Yeah.
Real quick, he said, "Is that why books of faith are important? Read the information, scriptures, knowledge, apply the scriptures of life. Why? Intention to serve their God."
Correct. So what he's saying is you have to have an intention of why you're learning.
Very true.
I like to learn, but what's your intention? What are you going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
You can read forever and a day, read it all, the Congress of Library of Congress. What's your intent? Mm-hmm. How are you going to apply it?
Right. Thank you, brother. Big Gucci. I don't know how you say that last part. Casey.
And I think Big Gucci.
Casey.
Yeah.
Casey. Big Gucci Casey. Thank you for the $10. Really, really appreciate you. I hope he answered your question. Now, this is piece right here. These organ frequencies. You're going into the organ frequency.
I want you to look at it. I also want to mention that the class started today for rewiring your brain with me. It's if you still want to join, you only have until this week before you really get lost. Otherwise, you're just I won't accept you after. So Friday is your deadline. And trust me, again, it's fascinating how many people watch this, listen to it, and don't want to learn, or maybe don't have the time to, maybe whatever it is. But it's awkward. It's weird. It's weird.
Oh, this is so important. This is so dope. I'm looking at this because
the organ frequency, right?
Yeah, because we do this. Where I'm at, we do this with proper breathing and certain sounds and certain incense perfumes that are used. this works. Like the 423 megahertz.
Yeah.
So now, piece of Ben. Now, what are these frequencies doing to these organs?
It's information. Remember, the body picks up waves, wavelength, frequencies, temperature. That's what the body registers at. That's why we have hairs on our arms or body. It's picking up things. It's picking up information. It's not cataloging it. It's picking it up so the brain can have the information.
To process it, yeah.
The brain does not know hot or cold, right? It doesn't. So if you're cold, how would the body start producing other chemicals to try to keep you warm, start to keep your body shaking so you can create a vibration, so you can create some type of warmth in your body? That's why you shake, right? It's trying to create a friction to heat up the body from the body it's escaping, because the internal body has to work at a certain temperature, right? That's why we have 98.6, and we have that range between healthy heat range. If you fall below 98.6 to 95, you're shaking. You're in frigid cold because everything's escaping out of the system, and it doesn't. So now, if you get that cold, which we know is hypothermia, right? The body will say, before we get there, I'm shutting organs down, right? The mind says, we got to shut some systems down so we can conserve our temperature. This is just all information, right? The information goes into the brain picks it up. The mind says, okay, we got to remember, the mind is the controller. So it wants to do things as easy as possible. So if I got to shut down the pancreas, I will. You better not test me. I'll shut this thing right down, because ultimately it was going to protect the heart and the brain. Everything else, we can survive. But it goes into systems. It goes into, the thyroid system. It's not that big a deal. If we're getting cold, let me shut that down. Let me shut the bladder down. So I'm going to dump everything, meaning your urine, your bile, because that's no use to me. So it's just good, because that's just what happens. So your body system starts shutting down like a circuit breaker.
Exactly.
Right? Frequencies, everything made of matter has a frequency.
That's true.
From this pen to the paper, it has a frequency.
So now you're going into basically like metaphysics then.
Because everything has a frequency.
Yeah.
So I want to show you this. So these are what you call stable frequencies to help with these different parts of the body. These are the organ's frequency. So if you're listening to things in lower hertz and it's going to affect your kidneys. You see, your heart is so sensitive. It You gonna explain that one, Ron?
Well, hey man, the bomb was the like you just said, the frequencies in the organs, and it affects the organs and things like that. I'm listening. I'm going with you.
He's agreeing with you. It's like letting off a flex bomb.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is why emotions. Remember, emotion is triggered. We saw the visual last week.
Yeah.
Emotions, but also emotion has an effect on frequencies.
Yes, it does. The data. the frequency that you could feel somebody's emotions. You walk in a room, you could feel where the energy's going because
Right.
it carry the data. Yeah,
So
and
if you're listening to
I didn't know
music,
you were gonna go here tonight with this.
what should I send you
Jeez, you gotta
a cheat
warn me.
sheet?
You gotta warn.
yeah, I know about the soul field frequencies. There's a low frequency I listen to at times at night.
Esophageal. Yeah.
Sulfur, yeah, I listen to at nighttime. I'm like, oh, it keeps.
So
Yeah.
if you don't understand what frequency you're bringing in and how it's affecting you, i.e., music, things I've seen,
Mhm.
um, all things of the information coming in, all the information coming in, all the information, who, what, when, and where, you can change that into frequencies.
Mhm.
If you don't know how, knowledge about the frequencies, then you're being controlled still by outside frequencies that's dulling you.
Exactly.
And if it dulls you, you can see this. The human in low frequencies, you see the anger, you see the behavior change, you see the fear factors, what frequencies they're being developed in. Just look at it this way: anything that
Your connection.
It went off.
Yeah.
anything in that low frequency is detrimental to your body. It keeps you in that fear. News reports, when it's reported, has a fear frequency. I could care less about the information because if I mention wildfires out in California, you're not hearing the information. You're just feeling the frequency of, oh my God, this place is going to burn down. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Here is the other functions of the body and its frequencies. And these are things that if you do it, obviously, like circulations and sex and personality, if your frequency is remain level, these are good. If
Mhm.
it changes a 1 off, 2 off, it decreases this, and your body now has to perform with low frequency, meaning high information, low frequency, which causes your mood to destabilize because the body has to regulate itself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Damn.
And and
That's why
this
it's so important.
and this happens with thought. Like if I'm having sex with my partner and I am not connected to him, her, them, or they, and I'm just having it, it lowers your frequency.
Mm.
If I'm not connected to the food I eat, it decreases the frequency of the food that's being ingested through the bladder, small intestines, the pancreas, the stomach, the spleen.
Mm.
It decreases it. Can your body recover? It has been if you never learned how to increase it so it works off the environment it can do its best work in, even though you're killing it slowly
Dr.
with the
Dyer just
music.
served. You just resolve 90% of people's relationship issues right there with the past statement you said. You're sleeping with the wrong person, you're interacting with the wrong person, you will feel less detached from that person. And that's why you operate in a low frequency, exposing yourself to different people. He just exposed what sex is, transmission of energy, not only diseases. Damn, bro. It's beautiful, man.
Just like how you worked out today, or whoever works out intentionally for doing things that wants to function and form their body, the muscles work at a certain frequency. You do it without intent, your muscles will never develop, they'll decay. I go to the gym every day and I see no results because your thinking is decaying the body. I ask you, why are you exercising? Well, because I want to look better. that doesn't raise your frequency, because that frequency doesn't get raised by what is the word I'm looking for?
Vanity.
Vanity. It doesn't get raised on vanity. It gets raised on vulnerability and humility. It's raised on vulnerability and humility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work, I know what I'm doing. It works on intent of what you're trying to do.
That's so funny that you're saying that. Listen, I've been training for years. You know what I do when I go into the gym? All the time, for months on end. I know what I'm doing. And you know what? 2-3 months in, guess what happens to me?
Slack off.
I get injured.
Yeah, you get injured.
Because I'm not, like, before I walk into the workout, I'm supposed to have like a whole program and a slow progression week by
Warm up.
week.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be tracking it. Like, my mind is supposed to be, my body, my mind, my intent. Everything is supposed to be organized, tightly packed, ready to move. And just like he was talking about, the intention, you know,
Discipline.
the discipline. I'm going in there like, I know this.
Like, and I'll give you a perfect example with all things, and you could take it to this metaphor. It's not a metaphor because it's how I work it. When I'm riding my bike, I like to keep it 100 cadence, right? The cadence is every time I turn my right foot, it's a cadence 1, 2. So I like to keep it 100 a minute, right? That's just my cadence. So it doesn't matter what terrain I'm on. I'm focusing on my cadence. Now, could I say it's logically because I'm going up a hill, my cadence changed? No, it's not logical because that's why I changed my gears. I'm still trying to keep my cadence. My brain doesn't know that it's a hill, flat, or a decline. It just knows that we're functioning at a cadence level. I can increase my cadence if I can sustain it, but if I rise and fall in my cadence without sustainability with correlation and context, a deep hill, obviously I'm not going to be able to keep my 100 cadence. But it doesn't mean I don't function my cadence to the hill. It's not the hill that controls my cadence. It's my ability to climb the hill that controls my cadence. So it's still me. Because once I get stronger, faster, and I rode with faster riders, their cadence up a hill is insane. It's like, wow, I'm just trying to keep 10, and they're still doing 22 miles per hour, 18, 19 miles per hour. That's, if you don't understand that, that's fast. That is fast, right? So all these things have its natural frequency. We know about the emotional vibration chart about the fear, anger, and all these things is in low frequencies. That's just so simple. It's pathetic. You see where joy, happiness, love, enlightenment, awareness, you see that's all in the blue and up. And you can keep rising that frequency. It doesn't mean that love gets higher because you're deeper in love. If you love, you love. So that's why I tell people love that has no agape or this is
Storgion.
this love. This love is love is love. If you love, you love. If you love, you love at the same frequency. How you apply it is different to different people. My child, my girlfriend, my mother, my siblings, and friends. But I love them. The frequency is the same. How you show your love is different. I think people get mixed up with that. Now, with the brainwaves frequency chart, you could see in the different areas of the brain people have heard of waveform, the delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma, and the frequencies. But over here, if you look at the functions of the frequencies, I know people may not be able to see this, but they could pause it, rewatch it, and expand it. But if you look over here at function, those are all good functions if I'm in this frequency level of brave wave. Most of this time is often sleep that we enter, but you don't have to be sleep to enter none of these waveform and frequencies. This is what meditation comes in. This is what intention does.
Okay.
Look at gamma, high level of perception and process.
Peak mental alertness, transcendental state, memory, recall, and learning. Huh.
Okay, Dr. Paul, how do I know if I'm in this frequency? You can tell by how you are calm in what you're doing. If it's agitation, that means something is trying to block you, something is trying to keep you in habitual, or if it you ignore all that and you push on through, you're pushing through a negative state. Because if you're fighting learning, then you haven't resolved the intent of why you want to know the data. And you're not understanding the information. This way, it blocks your learning into knowledge.
Very deep.
This is the reason why people don't understand the frequency level. They keep realigning the same circulatory loop that they're stuck in for reprogramming and working through their emotions.
That's true.
Which is why the frequency starts to affect your body, which means it starts to make you sick. So it throws you off your game, right? I feel sick. I don't feel like doing anything. But what's wrong? I don't know. I feel blah. That blah means low frequency. Sickness shouldn't change your frequency. Even if you injured, you accept the injury, you understand your injury, you know maybe how it happened. This is all understanding it from the information you got from the data you got, right? I tore my rotator cuff. Well, how did I tear my rotator cuff? Was I lifting too much? Did I not perform the movement correctly? Was I stressing this tendon like I wasn't supposed to? Do you understand all that? Or you just understand that my shoulder hurts? That doesn't give you healthy frequencies. My shoulder hurts. Why? I don't know. I did something and it hurts. You've missed so much. You've missed so much information. You never dived into the information, so you're just allowing it to control you. And will always control you into a negative vibration state, which gives you emotional vibration state, which keeps you sick, sorrowful, regretful, angry, right? Guilt, anxiety.
Now, is sleep a big proponent of keeping yourself either in a higher vibrational frequency or lower vibrational frequency?
Higher, because sleep, forms of sleep, the brain waves you have in sleep it's a rebuilding state. Sleep is rebuilding, not reprogramming. Because if you done the thinking you're supposed to do throughout the day, you have to rebuild and strengthen those synapses, those neurotransmitters. You're strengthening it in your sleep. If you're not getting good sleep for whatever reason, we can talk about that later, whatever. But if you're not able to get good sleep, that means you are not allowing your thought process to be clear. That means you did not think about what was going on that day, so you have to rethink about it at night where your body slowed down, but your brain is still processing. That's because you had no thought in your day. The reason why you can't sleep or toss and turn is because you are still not clear on your understanding of your thought throughout the day. So you're still trying to clear that up.
Mind clutter.
Mind clutter.
Doctor, I totally agree with what you said. This is why I take that word diet, as I always mention in the show, to heart. Where I say it's not only what you consume through your mouth, it's what you listen to, the people you're around. Setting boundaries is important. Not to allow anything to enter my mind. As the God say, as Ron say, not to let anything enter my cipher. I'm very careful what information I choose to pick up. Not to fall down any rabbit holes, conspiracy theories, and over mystifying things.
But when people are stuck in sorrow, when you say sorrow people or people who are in low frequency, they love company, it's because it enhances their sorrow. So it reaffirms that I'm in negative state. I'm in negative frequency state. I'm in a low frequency state. And it must be okay here because look, Ron's here. So I'm okay with that, right? Misery loves company. Misery loves company, so it reaffirms your misery. It doesn't love company because it wants to associate with misery. It just reaffirms what you think about yourself. So if you're in sorrowful misery company, you're reaffirming to yourself that you're sorrowful and misery.
Very true.
That's why if you move into certain other frequency levels in certain places, it challenges you. It makes you feel vulnerable, and you don't like using your humility to feel vulnerable, so you escape.
Escapism. Very true.
If you escape, you're only going to cause lower frequencies of the issues. All these become low. All these become damaged, which controls your emotions, which controls your loop that you're still in. Which is why, because you don't understand the data. You don't understand the information. It's not clear to you. You have to understand. You just can acknowledge or be aware. To gain knowledge to wisdom, you have to understand. You have to understand and how to apply it into context. If you're unable to, you understand it, but you can't apply it to context, you'll never get to knowledge. You will still be stuck in rattling around into the information, which is difficult because it's just information. It doesn't have a positive or negative. It's just information. But if you take your information and use it emotionally, that's a negative state because you're trying to reaffirm why it is that you don't understand. And you're going to convince yourself that it's okay that I don't understand. That's a thought process.
Okay. So now the question is, how do I control it with knowing all of this, right? So
Right.
now, am I using tools for probably manipulate the frequency in the organs? What am I doing? Like pardon me, I don't mean to cut you off. My main thing right now I'm learning is that I need more sleep. I think starting there will help me a great deal, you know. But what other tools do you think, can be used to manipulate these frequencies?
This is so tough. It's a tough way to answer because the answer's simple, but it seems like it can't be that simple when it's so hard to do. The simple answer is understand what your thoughts are.
That is the simple answer, but the hardest thing to figure out.
It's like a billion and one thoughts running at one time. You got like a billion thoughts,
Right?
because the brain is such a sensitive thing. Like you got thoughts of the past, present, and future, and they all could be
No,
running
the
at one
brain
time.
is just, remember the brain is just an engine. It's just a machine. The
Mhm.
mind gives the machine information of what it has gone through
Mhm.
previously. Remember, I talked about this. The
Right.
mind works in previous states.
Hmm.
It doesn't see future. It tries to work its way through the action of now from past experiences because it wants to be habitual. It wants to use less energy.
Got you. Sui Lee says, Big Gucci come on, man. Pardon me. I'm tired, man. I'm tired.
Case, I think Gucci Case,
Gucci
Casey.
Case, Casey. Um,
Yes.
educate yourself about yourself. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Educate yourself about yourself. Now, here's the thing. This is why I said to Dr. Paul Dyer, that's the hardest thing to figure out because it's like, okay, I have this trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like, for instance, I'm going to give you an example. When I'm tired or when I'm frustrated or, lower vibration, thoughts or whatever, I curse a lot, a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why do I do that? It's like a default thing. So all I can remember is when I was really young, it was all about the church, really young. And it was like cursing was like, ooh, don't do that. But then I started to practice cursing in the mirror because I got tired of being like, you know, churchy. So I started practicing cursing. And
Mhm.
then it just became such a habit. I was going outside, cursing outside, and the cursing just became a part of me. It's like a deeper going on with that.
No, yo, Ron and I had similar, the same way for me. Like, damn, I had a problem. I got second grade. I got kicked out of classroom because I learned how to spell the F word, and I was just going crazy every day, saying it in the classroom, standing up. You know what? Fuck. Like, yeah. I fell in love with spelling the word. I like, guess what I have to spell? I go on a chalkboard, write it
Yeah.
out. You know what I'm saying? But I know what Ron is saying. Like, you just answered your question too, Ron. Like, you're tired. You just answered your question. Like, when I get tired, I start cursing.
Right.
Wait,
But what I'm saying is it's a default behavior, but it subconsciously it comes from somewhere. So I'm thinking, yeah.
It comes from somewhere, and oftenly it comes from why am I trying to protect myself? It goes back to the amygdala and how it pushes out its signals. So,
Mm,
um, what is it about cursing that protects me, and how does it serve me? I'm not talking about using the word, but it's to use it gives you service. So how
feels
is it
good.
serving me? If you don't know how it's serving you, then you are really in a low negative state. If you understood how it's serving you, whatever it's doing for you, you get something from it. Once you understand that, then the cursing is not as much negative but we know that words have its own power and frequency anyway. But if once you understand it, you can change it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you people a simple test this week. Whoever you're fond of or say you love, I'm going to go with love. Whoever you, whatever, I want to say something because not many people have someone they love, believe it or not. And if you think you have someone you love, ask yourself, what is the information that gives me the reason to love them? And how do I understand those things? And you cannot use the other person for explanation.
Man, come on. It broke out.
I love you, Mikey, but I can't use Mikey's attributes for my reason why I love you. I'm getting something from you. What is it that created that atmosphere of love for me to Mikey? Well, Mikey's a good guy. Don't use that. Well, he's really this. Don't use that. If it has nothing to do with you, you still don't know your reason. You still don't understand your information. So that's what you're going to work on this week. Because if you're unable to know the information of why you say you love X, Y, Z, whoever it is, then I need to challenge what you call love. And that challenge is your misunderstanding of the information, which is why you cannot go into knowledge of why you love someone, which is the wisdom of the why.
Indeed. You guys, the 15 people in the chat, why do y'all come on so late?
Yeah,
they're busy. They're coming home from work.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, rewind this video. There's a lot of jewels on here. We just did a show. I think it was Thursday last week or Friday, Wednesday last week. I'm gonna post that. I didn't post that yet. I'm gonna post that either tomorrow or Thursday. So we're behind on the posting. So
we're behind Dr. Dyer's talking.
So
now, Dyer is the truth, man. Dr. Dyer, you're the truth, brother. Like you touch on so many different areas. You went so in depth. You went from the physical, logical, psychological, alchemical.
I didn't think he was gonna do that.
Yeah, he went everywhere with it.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
For sure. So
beautiful.
Cursing isn't bad. We decided it is. Cursing, I don't know what Suli mean about that. Cursing isn't bad.
If a person says, I know we don't have much time left because we're going to be taking off, but I want the person to rethink that because the words itself are taken out of context. If you take something out of context, it will always be bad.
Damn, there we go.
It will always be bad. If you take it out of context, it will always be bad. Because you're not using it into the vibrational state it's meant to be in.
Got you.
On that note, thank y'all for coming out this evening. I really appreciate you. Dr. Paul Dyer will be back on the live. He will be back on the live.
Be back, definitely, man.
For sure.
Monday at 8.
And I'm hearing great things about your class, Dr. Dyer. Yo.
Oh, good.
Yeah, plug the class.
Yeah, class. If you want to join the class, this is the last week because we started this week. They have already started their assignment this week. You'll be lost after this week. So if you still want to join the class, it's still $50. Contact the show. They'll contact me and I'll hit you up with the information and we can talk offline. But after this week, you'll be running so far behind. I teach downhill.
That's beautiful.
Indeed. On that note, thanks for everybody for coming out this evening. See you guys next week for Dr. Paul Dyer, 8 o'clock Monday. and we are out of here in peace.
Hey, salute.